Good afternoon, everyone. We are at the moment producing biofiber-based acoustical materials, which are applied by spraying. So basically, instead of hiding the architecture like in here with those curtains or doing the architectural design by in terms of acoustics, we can basically make any kind of surfaces, any kind of 3D structures with our materials. Here you can see a couple of cases where, basically you cannot see it because you cannot really see where it is. You cannot smell it, you cannot taste it, and you cannot hear it, but you know when it's not there. The company was established in 2019, and the idea was to make more sustainable and more higher quality acoustical materials. I started in the company in 2015, and then I just said that, okay, we have to start making it like we're thinking about really what materials we are using. And we started looking for Finnish raw materials, bio-based raw materials for our coatings. At the moment, all of our fibers, all of our binders are coming from Finnish forests. Only the fire retardants we have to buy from somewhere else. So we're really ecological material. Really the aim is to not just to produce some building material. We really aim to have the highest visual appearance in our materials and also the highest acoustical performance. And we really want to differentiate ourselves with the product development. Okay, we have a product now, so why should we bother to do anything else? We just sell it and be happy for as long as we have markets. But we are actually taking this quite much further. So here you can see some of the references we have in Finland. So there are a couple of these really boring white large surfaces which are acoustic. Then in Tapiola metro station, a bit more 3D shape, and some renovation of this small building next to the Mannerheimintie. But we really started thinking about circular economy in our life when we participated in eco-design project. And there we had to really, even though our raw materials, sustainability of our raw materials have been in the core all the time. But then we started thinking about the process in a larger scale. So we moved from this straight line to the circular economy. And but then, actually, when I made this presentation, I realized that that's really not the truth. We are really, even though this is a pretty picture, this is more what this is looking like at the moment. And in this presentation, I will go briefly through three examples where we are considering the circular economy in our current products and also the products of what we are developing at the moment. And really, our development is focusing just to optimize the positive impact and not just replacing some of the non-renewable materials with something slightly better. So here is shortly what the products that we have at the moment available. So basically, with the spray that we have, we can replace the plasters. We can replace lots of other building materials that would be otherwise used. And since it's the visual surface, so we also replace all the paints and such. Taking one step further, going into gypsum ceilings. Again, here we have the same thing, that we can replace the plasters and seam tapes and such, but we can also introduce the acoustics without having this horrible panel look what the acoustical materials are usually. Then we took it a bit further. Okay, what can we do for the walls? Because we have very tough, durable material, so could we use it in the walls? So we developed Lumir rock, which is basically, we are utilizing the underlying structures, materials under our coating for the acoustics. So with the lightweight concrete blocks, we can actually make extremely well-performing acoustical wall within a couple of days, where otherwise it would take more than a week to prepare. So we are also also increasing the productivity of the whole building process. We are actually helping also others to perform better. If we look, I started really just listing what we can do with our materials. The biggest problem with the construction industry is the recycling. When we started thinking like, okay, could we anyway use our materials or collect our materials and recycle them? Basically, the answer is no. The huge amount of material is going to go to landfills at the moment, and basically there is simply no possibility to collect our own materials and recycle them. So then we started thinking, okay, could we actually just think positively and make it so that it doesn't really harm if it goes to the landfill? So it can be actually, we are coating, for example, the gypsum boards. So if the gypsum boards would be collected, our materials can be recycled with them. They don't really harm other recycling processes. So it's in that sense very inert. Then also recycling of the waste material is of course very important. And we used to put our materials in the landfills until we realized that it can be actually used for the land improvement. So basically we are just extending the loop to land improvement, then we get the forest biorefinery and then come back to our own circle. And making this kind of changes, it actually even financially helped us because we are paying much less for the waste that we are producing at the moment instead of just taking it to landfill. So in some cases, this can really also help to make your products even cheaper. Of course, we are also always considering the more sustainable options for the raw materials. They usually increase the costs, but really, if you can say that you are 100% green, I think that's really, really important nowadays. Also, looking at the vehicles, fuels, electricity, those are things that are really easy steps to take, and they usually increase the cost slightly, but then we are talking about less than 1% increase in the costs. One big thing is just to decrease the amount of waste. So by automatization of our processes, we can actually decrease how much waste we are producing. Also by localization of the production, because we can take our factory basically on site, do the material when it's needed, just the amount that we need, and basically no waste is produced. So in this way, we can also affect the loop that we have here for the materials. When we come to more difficult steps, is that we can make the building process much easier. We can use more sustainable materials, but teaching these new processes for the big companies, big construction companies, that's the really big problem. I used to work with paper industry, pulp industry, and I thought they are dinosaurs. But to be honest, the construction companies, they are even worse. That is something that is really going to take a lot of time to do the change. And also getting the materials for recycling, it cannot be done with the current infrastructure. We really have to do lots of changes for the whole construction process itself. Then for the future, when we are going outside Finland, we have to again start thinking about logistics. Are we going to use certified Finnish raw materials, or are we going to use local raw materials? That's something really important to think about at that point. Also ensuring the high quality, because more you have to repair, more you have to go to the work site, more work it does, takes more energy, more everything. So how can we actually ensure that the quality is always the best, as we promise also here in Finland? Then we are looking for new waste materials that we could use as a raw material for our coating. So development really never stops, even though we have ready products. And also, what is really sad to see, that also we are always packing single-use plastics in our truck when we go to the work site. For covering the walls during the spraying and that kind of things, those are really necessities, and there are simply no options for that at the moment. And for that, we would need help from other companies, new products, that we could really make a change in there. Then we have developed, in this case too, we have developed a completely new kind of product. Basically what could be used to replace the currently used plastic and mineral wool panels in the ceilings. These are really easy to use, so it is no harm for the customers, or it doesn't really need so much change for the construction companies to start utilizing these. These recipes are, or the consistency of these panels are designed so that we can basically use them in the same process that we used to make them again and again. We don't know at the moment how many times we can actually recycle the fibers, but I would say at least 10 times, with maybe additional of a small amount of virgin material. And also this is really something, because usually the cellulosic materials, they are really low cost. We even have this saying in Finland that it's cheap as cellulose. But in this case, we can actually add a couple of zeros behind the number, which is also very interesting for the companies. Then the products for the day after tomorrow. So we have figured out how to use other people's waste as a raw material, completely new kind of raw material for acoustics. With this, unfortunately, I cannot reveal much about this innovation yet because it's under patenting, but we can say that there's hundreds of tons of this material going to landfills at the moment, and there is practically no use. We can use this in our products, but the brilliant thing is that we can actually give it also to other people. So we can give this really a sustainable new kind of acoustic material for other companies to use. We can sell that even further. So with this we can actually help other people to become more sustainable. But really, even though this looks horrible, I think that's not the truth how things really are. It's just, we are really just a small piece in this really big ecosystem of companies. And basically, we should start telling other companies next to us that also enable them to utilize these new sustainable things, become part of this circular economy. The green values in construction business is a bit grim nowadays. Even though the public discussion has really increased the environmental awareness, basically it doesn't really happen yet. There are some legislations coming in different countries, but it is very slow, and still it doesn't really affect most of the materials inside, for example. So it's not the whole building that is really thought of. It's just the biggest material streams in construction. And well, architects, designers, you have taken us actually extremely well. We have got lots of good contacts, and people are already using us. But unfortunately, from architect's desk to realization in the construction site, there is construction company. And basically there, cheaper you get it, the better it is for them. So that is actually the culture that really has to change. And we really have to actually affect that by affecting the decision makers, because they can actually help the small companies to bring the products to the market with a bit cheaper price, because it's the money basically that matters. And with the construction business, it's really it's not talked much like how much waste construction business is really producing, because all these easy solutions are really getting the stage at the moment, like plastic straws and such. But thinking about how much plastic straws are going to the waste, comparing to this 1 ton per person per year in Europe in construction materials. And even though there are construction materials that are considered recyclable, they are not recycled, they are going to the landfills, and they are considered as a hazardous waste. So there's really big issues in this building sector to tackle before we can actually go towards more sustainable building. And yeah, this sounds like a lot of work, and it is. But basically someone has to do it, and that's why I'm working in Lumir, just to make a difference. Thank you.
Another set of goosebumps. I think your presentation actually demonstrated a steep learning curve. I could sense, past 10 years, having sort of explored the whole topic and realizing how complex it is. So it's clearly something that requires a lot of thinking, and I wish we could duplicate your and your team's brain, because there are a lot of startups that would definitely benefit from that. I like the picture where you showed the net. Again, we come back to the fact that it's all about networking, collaboration, influencing. And again, that's why I hope that all of you, again, change a lot of thoughts between each other. That's one word, and then there was another word that I was thinking of, and that's the value chain. So important to understand the whole value chain, not just work on one product or yes. Understood very, very limitedly. So absolutely great. You participated, or Lumir participated in the EcoSprint process together with Muotohjelma.
Yes.
And I would like to know, talking about value chains, which part of the value chain was the one that you felt that was least understood within Lumir, and how did it help you to improve that specific area?
I think the construction process itself, that we were more focusing on the product, not the process. So that kind of like broadened our view about the circularity.
Yeah, so exactly what we were
yeah.
talking about. So again, as I mentioned, I'd like to duplicate your brain and have all the know-how from the past 10 years. But now, if you were to give some top 3 advice to any startup company working on the topic of circular economy, or making their services or products more circular, what would they be?
Well, be brave. Be brave to step outside your comfort zone, because basically when I started in Lumir, I had no background in acoustics at all. And now we are writing scientific publications within our company, so...
Now applause. That is brave.
Yeah, so really step out of your box, because there you can really use the ideas that you had before in a completely new way.
Yes. That's actually a wise thing to say, because clearly when you step into a totally new area, you can't fear things as you don't know about, or you don't know what to fear. So I think that's a good point. And then again, probably having a great team who knows more about these topics.
Yes, and great network around us.
Yes.
We are really well connected in the academia and also in the construction business.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Still Sarjan from the University of Oulu. You mentioned that you have been having the challenges to get the bigger kind of commercial companies and construction companies to get enthusiastic about this innovation. So what about then, how about the consumers and the do-it-yourself kind of people like me, for instance, who wants to renovate their own houses, and especially in Helsinki, these, sorry my language, chicken shit, old buildings with the walls, leaking all the voices and noises through. So what is your view or prediction that when would these products or the materials be available for the consumer markets, and instead of going to the corporations and business to consumers direction?
They are already available.
Oh, they are?
Yes,
Excellent.
You can buy good acoustics from us.
Sales pitch.
Yes. No, but basically we're still working with a quite small group, because we just started using subcontractors within a year and a half or so. So we're really just testing how we can actually give it outside our company. And now we have done it successfully within a year or so. We already have 4 or 5 different companies doing the installation for us. So nowadays it's much more likely to get the acoustic for the consumers also than before.